now El Salvador is going to take our migrants, no matter what country they're from. Again, this is in direct violation of international law. You cannot ship asylum seekers to third countries. They are under international law. Asylum seekers are entitled to a hearing and asylum. You cannot ship asylum seekers to third countries. You cannot ship migrants to third countries, especially to countries like El Salvador, where the prisons are at more than 300% capacity. This is why we have migrants from El Salvador, because they have prisons that are at 300% capacity. And now, right now, El Salvador won't be taking United States citizens who are behind bars. Not yet. There are still legal roadblocks to all that. Then again, there are legal roadblocks to Elon Musk gaining access to our Treasury payment system and altering the code. But so far, he hasn't been arrested. Right now, we're not too keen on sending our prisoners to other countries, because if the loophole in the 13th Amendment has taught us anything, it's that prisoners are a free source of labor. We literally have black prisoners picking cotton in Texas right now for no money. Plus, the for-profit prisons industry, companies like CoreCivic and Geo Group, well, they donated millions to Trump last year, and they want a return on their investment. They don't want our prisoners being sent overseas. But what about the American prisoners who are not cost-effective for CoreCivic and Geo Group? What about the American prisoners who are not cost-effective for states like Alabama and Texas that use prisoners as cheap sources of labor? What about the prisoners who are just too old, too sick, or maybe who have physical and mental health issues? They're of no use to CoreCivic or the Geo Group or the state penitentiary. In fact, they eat into profits. They can't work. They're in constant need of medical and physical attention. They get old. Prisoners get old. There are, as we speak tonight, massive protests going on around the country, outside state capitals. You should go to downwithtyranny.com. That's Howie Klein's website. You can find out where these mass demonstrations are being staged. I recommend you call the White House switchboard, the State Department switchboard. You call the Congressional switchboard in Washington, D.C. Make your voice heard. Write postcards, not letters, postcards. Be civil, be polite, make your voice heard. Be careful protesting outside. Stay away from the police. You do not want to get arrested. There are brown shirts. There are agents provocateurs who will try to make a protest look more violent than it actually is so the police can arrest people. There are oath keepers. There are Proud Boys looking to crack skulls. Let's go out and protest, but if you smell even a whiff of trouble, go home. Go home. Do not get arrested, okay? Trump is ushering in, there's no question, this is just fascism, transnational fascism. And we need to fight for our country. Unless we nip this in the bud, El Salvador will be more than willing to take American citizens who are in prison off Trump's hands for pennies on the dollar. 108,000 people are now behind bars in El Salvador, even though El Salvador's prison system can only handle 38,000 inmates at one time. The idea that Marco Rubio, our Secretary of State, would think this is an appropriate place to send migrants fleeing oppressive regimes is beyond the pale. It's not beyond comprehension, because if you've been alive long enough, you know what 50% of humanity is capable. It is beyond comprehension that we're allowing this. They only have the capacity for 38,000 inmates, and they're saying, yeah, we'll take your migrants. The fact that El Salvador's president still insists there's more room for American migrants and even our own civilian prisoners, the fact that he would make this offer given the massive human rights violations in El Salvador is beyond comprehension. You know, liberals like me, leftists like me, foolishly look west towards Europe, towards Franco, Mussolini, or Hitler for fascism's antecedent playbook. The hundreds of thousands of migrants from Central America who want to live here in America, they are escaping autocratic regimes trained and propped up by the United States of America. The fascists were trained here in the United States. We trained El Salvador's death squads in Washington, D.C. We've been training their death squads since 1946. Our Defense Department, through the School of the Americas, look up the School of the Americas. It's now known as the Western Hemisphere Institute for Security Cooperation. It is the U.S. government's, it's part of the defense, part of the Pentagon. It is responsible for training the death squads in El Salvador, Honduras, and Guatemala. We trained the death squads who killed El Salvador's Archbishop Romero back in 1980. We trained the death squads who raped and murdered the Maryknoll nuns, American citizens. Nuns. Your tax dollars trained these death squads and produced the dictators, the death squad leaders, and of course, the narcotics traffickers, all trained by our military in places like Guatemala, El Salvador, Honduras, and of course, Nicaragua. Why, since 1946, has our Pentagon been training them? Look up the School of the Americas. Google the School of the Americas. Why did we train these people? Why did we produce these people? Because they're good for business. The School of Americas, the SOA, School of the Americas, we trained, as General Smedley Butler would call them, gangsters for capitalism. Gangsters for capitalism. Because we saw these military juntas, their death squads, we saw them as business friendly and therefore worthy of our support. Law and order. Juntas provide order, but no law. There's a reason Trump, Marco Rubio, and the rest of the Republicans don't want the refugees from these brutal dictatorships coming to America, because they bear cautionary tales. They bear cautionary tales of what's to come for us.